Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Voting underway in Bangladesh for the general elections after prolonged political turmoil. 127 million voters to decide the fate of 2034 candidates. National referendum being held simultaneously. US President Donald Trump reiterates that negotiations with Iran to continue during a meeting with Israeli PM Netanyahu, but warns of action against Iran if no nuclear deal is reached. US House lawmakers vote to reject Donald Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods. 6 Republicans join hands with opposition, sweeping aside threat of election consequences. And in ICC Men's T20 World Cup tournament favourites and co-host, India to face Namibia in its second group tie in New Delhi. Polling is underway for the 13th Bangladesh parliamentary election across 299 constituencies, with voting in Sherpur 3 postponed due to the death of a candidate. A total of 12.77 crore voters are eligible to vote at over 42,000 centres nationwide. Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which is BNP, Chairman Tariq Rahman voted at the Gulshan Model High School and College Centre in Dhaka. He urged voters and party activists to remain at polling centres until voting concludes. Bangladesh's interim leader Muhammad Yunus cast vote in general elections. Alongside the parliamentary elections, voters will decide on a referendum seeking approval for key constitutional and institutional reforms under the proposed July Charter. Nearly 958,000 law enforcement personnel supported by the army have been deployed nationwide. The Election Commission said results are expected to be announced on Friday morning, though counting may take longer than usual as 2 ballot papers and postal ballots are being tallied. Bangladesh is holding 13th parliamentary election today. Simultaneously, a national referendum is taking place. The referendum will give people a chance to vote on reforms to state institutions. Here's a look at why the referendum is being held and what it entails. Why is a referendum needed? The referendum focuses on implementing the July Charter drafted to establish good governance, democracy and social justice through institutional reforms. But the question is, how is the referendum being held? So each person will cast their vote by secret ballot. If a majority votes in favour, a constitutional reform council will be formed to complete the reforms within 180 working days from its first session. And has Bangladesh held a referendum before? Bangladesh has held 3 referendums before. The Awami League abolished the provision in 2011, which was reinstated by the High Court in 2024. All right, let's go across to Dhaka now. DD India's Naval Singh Parmar joins us on the phone line. Naval Singh, with polling underway across nearly 43,000 centres, tell us what's the turnout so far, and are authorities satisfied with security arrangements on the ground?
Almost 2/3 of polling completed. It started at 7:30 a.m. and it will last up to 4:30 p.m. Bangladesh time. So almost 2 hours of polling left. By and large, the polling was peaceful, and it is in the morning there was a less rush. People, the enthusiasm was not shown much, but as the day proceed, the people shows voter turnout increase, and the people shows the interest in voting, and the long queues, as you see in the visuals, it can be seen. The long queues are there, and people are coming to vote. And that this is the vote for the stability. This is the vote for the safety and security. In the last 1.5 half year, people have faced a lot in Bangladesh, economically and law and order and the safety and security. So this is the people are voting, coming to vote for the stable elected government. Though Awami League, the major political party which is out of contest as it has been banned by the Yunus administration, so Awami League voter were also in indecisive mode whether they will go for voting or not. But in last one week, so in many districts, the Awami League activists and supporter came in support of BNP or other political parties, and it seems that according to some sources in ground, the Awami League voters, including minority, they are coming for voting, not in full fledged, but at least they are coming. Around 30 to 40% people, Awami League supporters, are coming for voting. That is there, and the result will say what will happen.
Yes.
But the referendum has created big confusion among the people, as there are 47 points are there, and they are clubbed together, and people have to just say yes or no. If they want to have a reforms on particular 50% of points, and they want to reject 50%, they can't do so. So they have to accept all as a block, as a combo package. They have to say yes or no, and that is the we can say the things. It has created confusion among the peoples, among the voters. The time will tell.
Alongside parliamentary voting, citizens are also deciding on an extensive reform package. And you also talked about that. But how much awareness do voters have about these proposals? And is the referendum also influencing turnout?
Actually, Yunus administration and its people around Dr. Yunus created this kind of arrangement so that they can influence the voting in particular party's favor. And BNP, the chief opposition party during Awami League time, and the party which is having a bright prospect of forming government, continuously opposed the putting referendum at the time of voting. Because they were saying that it will create confusion among the voters. You can't ask for, in a simple yes or no vote in a wide range of issue. But the Yunus administration created pressure on the BNP party, and they compelled the BNP party to accept referendum as well as the voting at the parliamentary voting at the same time. Outside of the Dhaka city and some section of the particular political party, no one is aware about the referendum. What is there, people are not aware, and what change it will make, there is a big confusion.
Absolutely.
And it will create political instability, political turmoil, if yes, what will come. It is the observation of many analysts that if yes, what will win, then there will be a political turmoil in Bangladesh for coming for the coming next 6 months.
Yes, Nelson, keep tracking this. Thank you for the time being, but yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. And for more insights, we are joined by Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Welcome, Ambassador. Appreciate you giving us your precious time. How significant are these elections for Bangladesh's political trajectory, especially after the upheaval that led to a leadership change last year?
Well, they are a very sort of consequential election, I would say, because it really means that Bangladesh enters a different transformative phase in its political life. And what's more, that it's, as your correspondent was saying, that it's not a simple election. First of all, the election itself is kind of, I don't want to use the word fixed, but it is non-inclusive and unfair because the biggest party has been excluded and banned from participating. And number two is this, what we call the referendum. Now, which the referendum itself, has no legal basis in the constitution of Bangladesh. It's basically a demand of the student leaders and others who say that there is no accountability and there is too much powers in one hand. We do not want authoritarianism to return. So there was this reforms commission which came up with around 84 items. The common people have no idea what these 84 items are. So, but they are being pushed to say yes, and everybody is being pressurized to say yes. But there are a lot of questions. How will this referendum be reflected in the Constitution? For example, there is a division of powers between the President and the Prime Minister, the creation of a Vice President, creation of an upper house of Parliament. A lot of such things are there. And I don't think a referendum is the right way to do it. But I suppose that was the pressure that was built up. So they did this thing and asked people to vote on the referendum. It is very unclear as to how, after the election, the referendum will, the points in the referendum will be included in the Constitution, which itself would require a discussion in Parliament and, of course, a 2/3 majority. I don't know how this will happen, but this is for the public perception, and it's a kind of posturing that this interim administration has been doing, basically to, I think, ward off pressures from various quarters.
But Ambassador, like you also mentioned, the polls are being held alongside a nationwide referendum on major constitutional reforms. But how unusual is this combination? And also, what impact could it have on voter behavior? Because how transformative could these be if approved?
Well, that's what I was trying to say, that that the referendum itself is unsound, unsound. So I do not know whether it will be challenged after the referendum is through. Moreover, I have not come across a referendum in which you put 84 issues. People won't have time to read them also. And usually referendums are held, on one issue or something, saying, okay, you want this or you don't want it, yes and no. So the problem is that here's no choice. Either you say yes or you say no. And a lot of people who will not understand it will simply not vote, or vote as per whatever they have been told. The campaign being conducted by the interim administration, urging the people to vote yes, because many people want, at least those who participated in the agitation, the student leaders, they want that these things should be implemented. Nothing unexceptionable about the issues, but the method of implementation leaves a lot of doubt about how it will proceed further.
But Ambassador, what broader message could the conduct and outcome of these elections send to the region about democratic resilience?
Well, Bangladesh does not have democratic resilience. That is why the democratic institutions are basically shallow, and that's why Bangladesh has gone through so much of political turbulence from time to time. You had assassinations, you had military dictators, then you had some return of democracy, then again reverting to the caretaker administration for 2 years, and now you have this interim administration. These are all, there was a caretaker provision for which in the constitution, which was later removed by the Hasina government. But the caretaker administration was meant for 3 months to just hold elections. They had no authority to take any, substantive decisions in the government. But this interim administration has really surpassed all legal limits and taken very, very consequential decisions like trade agreements, like many things, or to make agreements to set up a military plant or anything like that. So it has exceeded all the limits of its authority. First of all, there is no provision for an interim administration or government in the constitution, but they have kept the constitution in the deep freezer and basically done what they felt like or what they were told by their foreign masters, which is what has happened.
But Ambassador, you think elections will have any impact on maybe restoring political and economic stability after last year's turbulence? Because especially for key sectors like government that in fact drives the country's economy.
Well, the government sector, has faced a lot of problems. Firstly, because of the tariff war from the US, and the US has has done a deal, a trade deal, which details are there, some of them. But then a lot of things are done. I know the US has also pressurized Bangladesh to sign other deals on the nuclear, on the armaments, etc. And they have pressurized them not to disclose these deals also, because there are clauses in it which are quite extraordinary. I don't want to go into details, but that's how it is. So I think this interim government period has been quite sort of consequential in the sense that they have exceeded all their legal limits. I mean, if it was to become a caretaker administration, then they should have had election in 3 months and quit and handed over to the new government. But now they've been around for almost 1.5 years, and now they are having the election. And that there is no level playing field in the election. So there are a lot of these problems and questions that will remain. And after the election, how they will implement suppose assuming that there is a yes vote to the referendum, how they will implement it is I really don't know, because there are a lot of legal questions that they will have to face. Plus, I think those who oppose these recommendations, many parties or many people are there who do not want these recommendations. They want the older constitution to continue. Whether they will come on the streets, where there will be violence again when these things happen, who knows?
Ambassador, very quickly before we leave, from India's vantage point, what makes this vote particularly consequential for the region?
India has basically felt that you cannot have a very long-term arrangement with an interim government. I mean, normal day-to-day stuff can go on, but you can't sign any long-term agreement. That's the position we took, because it will be challenged legally. Others didn't see it. The Americans, of course, felt that they can pressurize this government to do various things. We didn't go down that path. We've always said, please have elections. We like to deal with the new government, whatever the kind of government comes to power. Although the inclusivity has been in question, but if the elections are okay, reasonably free and fair, and whoever comes to power, I think India has always said we are going to deal with. We have reached out to the BNP government, after Khaleda Zia's death, and EM visited, and with letter of condolence from PM Modi ji. So these things we have done. We have reached out to the sort of these parties. So basically now it's a fight between the BNP and the Jamaat-e-Islami. The Jamaat-e-Islami, as we all know, is a Islamist party which is rooted in the ideology of fundamentalism or fundamental conservative Islam, and a very close partner of the Jamaat-e-Islami in Pakistan, and has close links with Islamic networks, including the Muslim Brotherhood. So their ideological position is, of course, very difficult for us to adjust to. But they have also been saying, look, we may be coming from there. The Jamaat Amir, for example, suddenly said that, women should not, go out of the house. They should not go into the workplace. All these things have been said. Not a single woman candidate has been put up by the Jamaat-e-Islami. So I don't know how Bangladesh will adjust to that kind of a ideological sort of vision, which is basically rooted in a very conservative form of Islam. That's it. Because the Bangladeshis are not like that. And I think Bangladeshi women are very, very, very outgoing, and the garment industry is basically run by women workers.
Yeah. First elections, in fact, after August 2024, and voting is still underway, and we'll get to know who wins by February 13th, that is tomorrow. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your insights, Ambassador. Shifting focus now, US President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that he pressed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to continue diplomatic talks with Iran over its nuclear program. The meeting marked the 7th interaction between Trump and Netanyahu since the US leader returned to office. The two leaders spoke behind closed doors for around 3 hours in what Trump described as a very good meeting. In his Truth Social post, Trump highlighted that while nothing definitive was reached, he encouraged continued negotiations with Iran to explore the possibility of a deal. Trump said he told Netanyahu that a deal with Iran would be his preferred outcome. He wrote, and I quote here, "If it can be consummated, that will be a preference. If it cannot, we'll just have to see what the outcome will be," unquote. The US president also warned Tehran against rejecting diplomacy again. Trump also addressed regional developments, noting discussions on the situation in Gaza and broader Middle East affairs. And ahead of his meeting with US President Donald Trump, Netanyahu officially signed on as a member of Board of Peace for Gaza during a meeting with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. A UN Security Council resolution adopted in mid-November authorized the board and countries working with it to establish an international stabilization force in Gaza, where a ceasefire began in October under a Trump plan on which Israel and Hamas signed off. The board will hold its first meeting on February 19 in Washington to discuss Gaza's reconstruction. All right, DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us on the broadcast for more. Hi, Jessica. The meeting lasted nearly 3 hours behind closed doors. What are we learning about the key issues discussed between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu? Concrete takeaways.
Even before the visit of Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, began, you heard from the officials and his team say that the negotiations would tend to focus on Iran's ballistic missile program. What about the Gaza peace plan, which was in the second phase? That requires a lot of discussion. And apart from that, of course, Israel wanting complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. Now, if you'd recall, before June, when the Americans had conducted Operation Midnight Hammer that had nearly destroyed, as claimed by the Americans, 12 nuclear bases, which was again a point of contention because for Israel and from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the report suggested that Iran was enriching uranium up to 60%, which is close to weapons grade. And that was a massive concern. Now, from this meeting, what Benjamin Netanyahu was able to take away was the fact that President Donald Trump sticks to the negotiations. He says that both Jared Kushner and his West Asia envoy Steve Witkoff would visit and hold meetings with their Iranian counterparts, as they did last week in Oman. But those talks remained inconclusive. So there's a lot of grey area, so to say, and not a lot of understanding, which has now come down to the effect where there would be peace and stability in the region. Now, look at the other countries in the region, from Qatar, from United Arab Emirates, from Saudi Arabia, from Egypt. There have been concerns. And even if you talk about the Gaza peace plan, which was in the second phase, conditions haven't been met. Timelines are not according to what had been planned. Because at this moment, the Rafah border from Egypt hasn't been opened. On the other hand, aid to flow in, withdrawal of US troops, and of course, the disarmament of Hamas, again, another proxy group funded by the Iranian regime along with Hezbollah. Now, all of these concerns put together hasn't made it easy for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's continuously being pressed by his far-right government to meet those demands for the safety and security of Israel and the region. But with President Trump, the talks, as suggested, have not given the kind of favorable outcomes as Benjamin Netanyahu was expecting. Of course, joining the Board of Peace along with few other countries, which perhaps, by the way, none of the European countries have joined in. Just about 25 to 28 countries who've joined in for this particular Board of Peace, which would help in reconstruction of Gaza. So there's a lot that needs to be discussed, but the outcomes fairly seem to have suggested there will still continue negotiations with Iran. And as Donald Trump suggests, if those negotiations don't go on track as he wants, he might consider another strike on Iran. And as you know, there is already a USS Abraham Lincoln in West Asia. He's sending another carrier strike group, aircraft carrier strike group to West Asia. So that makes it more than 7 warships. So that is quite a lot of build-up in West Asia. And Iran, certainly according to analysts, a position slightly weaker in terms of negotiations. And would have to arrive at a decision. But if you hear from the foreign minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, his latest statement seemed to have suggested that they would limit their nuclear program. The word is limit their nuclear program in return for some sanctions relief, which the United States government and the West and the Western world would consider. But given those negotiations continue on track, as we know, the last one in Oman were inconclusive. We'll have to wait and see as to how they progress later in the week when the meetings are held between the two.
All right, Jessica, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Fresh fallout from newly released Jeffrey Epstein files is rippling across the United States and Europe. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi faced sharp questions from lawmakers, while authorities in France and the United Kingdom have launched new probes into figures allegedly linked to the late financier. Here's a report by DD India's Harshita Oberoi.
Tensions flared in Washington as Attorney General Pam Bondi on Wednesday clashed with Democrats during a House Judiciary Committee hearing over the Justice Department's handling of Jeffrey Epstein files. Lawmakers accused the department of excessive redactions and withholding key documents despite a federal law requiring broad disclosure. The Justice Department recently released what it called a final batch of more than 3 million pages, again drawing attention to prominent individuals connected to Epstein after his conviction. The department maintained it acted transparently and said edits were needed to protect victims, although some names became public. Bondi refused a request from a Democratic lawmaker to directly apologize to victims present but expressed regret for their suffering.
I am deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, especially as a result of that monster. If you have any information to share with law enforcement about anyone who has hurt you or abused you, the FBI is waiting to hear from you. I want you to know that any accusations of criminal wrongdoing will be taken seriously and investigated.
The impact is also being felt in Europe. France's foreign minister has called for a formal probe into diplomat Francis Aydin, who is accused of exchanging messages with Epstein. Aydin denies any wrongdoing. The latest file release also prompted former minister Jack Lang to resign from his leadership role at the Arab World Institute, though he too denies any misconduct. In the UK, prosecutors are coordinating with police reviewing the files. Newly disclosed emails suggest Prince Andrew shared trade documents with Epstein during his tenure as trade envoy. Police are also examining allegations involving former UK envoy Peter Mandelson. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown has urged a thorough investigation, while King Charles expressed concern and indicated the palace would assist authorities if required. Harshita Oberoi's report, DD India.
Now, the US House of Representatives on Wednesday narrowly backed a measure disapproving of President Trump's tariffs on Canada. Lawmakers voted 219 to 211 in favor of a resolution to terminate Trump's use of a national emergency to put punitive trade measures on Canadian goods, as 6 Republicans joined all but 1 Democrat in favor. It was an important symbolic vote in the chamber, where Trump's Republicans hold a slim 18 to 14 majority. The resolution stands a good chance of passage in the Senate, which has voted twice to block Trump from imposing tariffs on Canada, despite his Republicans holding more seats. However, it is unlikely to become law, as it would take 2/3 majorities in both chambers to overcome an expected Trump veto. Meanwhile, Donald Trump warned that any Republican in the House or Senate who voted against the tariffs would seriously suffer the consequences come election time. Trump ordered 25% tariffs on imports from Canada in February last year, and in August signed an executive order increasing tariffs on Canadian goods to 35% for all products not covered by the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. Moving on, NATO defense ministers met at NATO headquarters in Brussels on Thursday. Continued support for Ukraine will be one of the topics at a meeting of NATO defense ministers in Brussels. The agenda also includes strengthening NATO's deterrence and defense, progress towards their defense spending commitment, and the development of air and missile defense. The ministers are also expected to discuss preparations for the next NATO summit in Ankara, scheduled for July 7th to 8th, 2026. Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Newshour. India pushes for urgent UN Security Council reforms at UN80 meet, stresses protecting development agenda. Aru Valley Snow Festival boosts winter tourism in Pahalgam. Details after the break.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of our top stories. Voting underway in Bangladesh for the general elections after prolonged political turmoil. 127 million voters to decide the fate of 2,034 candidates. National referendum being held simultaneously. US President Trump reiterates that negotiations with Iran to continue during a meeting with Israeli PM Netanyahu, but warns of action against Iran if no nuclear deal is reached. US House lawmakers vote to reject Donald Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods. 6 Republicans join hands with opposition sweeping aside threat of election consequences. And in ICC Men's T20 World Cup tournament favourites and co-host India to face Namibia in its second group tie in New Delhi. India has emerged among the fastest growing industrial economies, demonstrating resilience amid uneven global industrial performance. While global manufacturing output expanded modestly by 0.7% in the third quarter of calendar year 2025, India recorded manufacturing output growth of 1.3% during the same period, reflecting the strength of domestic fundamentals and sustained policy support for industrial expansion. Let's take a quick look at India's manufacturing sector. Country's manufacturing performance strengthened with GVA growth of 7.72% in Q1 and 9.13% in Q2 in financial year 2025-26. Medium and high technology industries contributing 46.3% of India's manufacturing. Union Budget 2026 focuses on scaling up manufacturing across 7 strategic and frontier sectors. Basic customs duty exemption granted on inputs for products ranging from seafood to microwave ovens. Union Budget 2026 promotes creating champion SMEs with Rs 10,000 crore SME Growth Fund. Moving on, India has consistently and urgently reiterated the need for comprehensive reforms within the United Nations. Speaking on the initiative UN80, India's permanent representative to the UN, P. Hari, said real and meaningful reforms of the Security Council is necessary to make it relevant, contemporary, credible and effective. He added that it must be ensured that development pillar is not affected in the process. UN80 is a reform strategy to boost efficiency and reduce cost within the organization.
UN80 is a promising platform for reform. Member states must not be constrained by their own vision or narrow interests. However, the reform must go beyond the revitalization of the General Assembly and cover other organs as well, particularly the UN Security Council. Real and meaningful reform of the Security Council is necessary to make this principal organ relevant, contemporary, credible and effective. In New York, we must see how best we can reclaim some of the committee time and effort for our own focused agenda at our end. Finally, as member states work towards reform and improvement, the effectiveness and impact of the development pillar cannot suffer. This is critical to countries of the global south. UN mechanisms and resources that cater to specific development needs must be preserved. Prioritizing peace and security pillar must not lead to either an intended or a benign neglect of the development pillar.
The United Nations is marking its 80th anniversary throughout 2025 and into 2026, celebrating 8 decades of promoting peace, human rights and development since its founding in 1945. Centered on the theme Building Our Future Together, the UN 80 initiative highlights efforts to reform and strengthen global cooperation for modern challenges. Now, Upper House of the Indian Parliament or Rajya Sabha holds a discussion on the Union Budget 2026-27 while replying to a question regarding generation of energy from nuclear plants in Rajya Sabha. Union Minister Jitendra Singh noted that the recent nuclear sector reforms, including measures under the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India Act, will accelerate the development of rare earth elements in the country. Minister of Communication replying in Rajya Sabha during question hour informed that BharatNet has been transformative in providing internet to every citizen of the country. Meanwhile, discussion resumes in Lok Sabha on the Industrial Relations Code Amendment Bill 2026 moved by Union Labour Minister Mansukh Mandavia for consideration and passing that the bill to amend the Industrial Relations Code 2020. Now, India AI, in collaboration with Intel India, is set to attempt an official Guinness World Records title for the most participants in an AI Responsibility Pledge campaign. The nationwide initiative aims to promote ethical, responsible and human-centric use of artificial intelligence while building awareness, trust and accountability in emerging technologies. Participants will receive an honorary badge from India AI and Intel and will also get opportunities to explore various government-led AI learning pathways. India is also set to host the India AI Impact Summit from February 16 to 20 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, hosted by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology under the India AI mission. The summit will bring together industry leaders, researchers, startups, students and citizens from across the world. Now, India remembers Swami Dayanand Saraswati, a scholar, reformer and fearless advocate of truth on his birth anniversary today. His life was dedicated to reviving Vedic wisdom and promoting education rooted in character. Let's take a look at this report.
Swami Dayanand Saraswati believed that knowledge was the foundation of a strong society. He emphasized that education must not only inform the mind but also refine conduct. Deeply inspired by Vedic principles, he encouraged people to question blind practices and return to rational thought and moral discipline. His message was simple yet powerful: live truthfully, think independently, and serve society selflessly. He was a pioneer who linked women's empowerment with national progress.
महर्षि दयानंद ने अपने दौर में महिलाओं के अधिकारों और उनकी भागीदारी की बात की थी। नई नीतियों के जरिए, ईमानदार कोशिशों के जरिए देश आज अपनी बेटियों को आगे बढ़ा रहा है।
In an era driven by speed and ambition, his philosophy places character above convenience and integrity above popularity. Swami Dayanand Saraswati's Jayanti is more than just a remembrance of his birth. It is a reminder that a nation grows stronger when its people choose knowledge over ignorance and values over shortcut. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
And paying heartfelt and respectful tributes to Swami Dayanand Saraswati on his birth anniversary, Prime Minister Modi in a social media post said, and I quote him here, Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati ji made unparalleled contributions not only in promoting education but also in enriching Indian culture and tradition. His efforts for social reform will continue to serve as a source of inspiration for the people of the country. Unquote. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. In the dry lands of Rajasthan's Didwana district, strawberries are emerging as a new and profitable crop. A farmer has successfully grown them using modern and organic techniques. Encouraged by experts and inspired by other regions, he hopes this high-value crop will inspire more farmers to diversify. At Bal Bhavan in Prayagraj, children recreated ancient Indian sculptures using eco-friendly paper mache. The workshop turned the campus into a mini museum with youngsters shaping art inspired by temples and caves. The initiative boosted creativity, confidence and awareness about the environment. The meadows of Aru Valley in Pahalgam came alive with a vibrant snow festival celebrating Kashmir's winter landscapes, local culture and music. Tourists, locals and adventure enthusiasts flocked to enjoy the snow-covered slopes, crisp mountain air and scenic surroundings. The festival featured cultural performances, winter sports and local delicacies, making it a memorable experience for all. British universities are expanding their presence in India, with the University of Southampton opening a campus in Delhi. The move follows India's 2023 policy allowing top foreign universities to set up campuses to meet rising demand for higher education. The expansion also comes as UK universities face pressure at home over international student recruitment and visa rules. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India Newshour. India is all set to host one of the most significant global artificial intelligence gatherings in New Delhi. In Premier League, Liverpool defeats Sunderland 1-0, secure 3 points.
When we see so many things wrong around us, we just need to turn off our autopilot and start making conscious choices.
Raja Banerjee decided things needed changing and introduced organic farming methods. His aim, producing tea in harmony with nature.
Control-S is doing it, it is partnering with the government in using that treated water or the grey water into our data centers that in turn use less of power.
Industrial waste is also cleaner, and there's a lot of it. Taiwan has a lot of big industry, in particular semiconductors and petrochemicals, so there's big potential for reuse there.
To make the process more efficient, he created an app. The app already shows where the trees are and when they were last watered, so you can also plan a route near your home.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India is all set to host a major global AI summit in New Delhi, bringing together world leaders, tech experts and innovators. The focus is on responsible, inclusive and ethical use of artificial intelligence for public good. Take a look at this report. India is all set to host one of the most significant global artificial intelligence gatherings in New Delhi, where world leaders, CEOs and tech experts will explore the future of AI and its various aspects. Artificial intelligence is powering breakthroughs in healthcare, education, agriculture and governance. But rising along with the benefits are questions about jobs, fairness, privacy and data protection. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while speaking at AI Action Summit last year, highlighted the need to establish governance and standards that uphold shared values in AI. Ahead of the AI Impact Summit, Prime Minister Modi also met with several AI startup founders to discuss the emerging technology and future of AI in India.
The clarity, the purpose and the role that they've given each one of us and how we'll all come together to collaborate towards putting India on the pedestal.
While most people are still stuck thinking about the role of text-based LLMs and chat, he's really thinking beyond to the role of AI in science, the AI in innovation, and the real transformation that AI is going to bring to our lives.
I would say that his visions and the entire team's vision brought the industries back to the innovation and especially in the era of AI.
India's tech ecosystem is booming. Startups and researchers are building tools that could transform everything from climate response to rural education. But experts stress that AI must be fair, ethical, and for everyone. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized that India is committed to harnessing this technology responsibly to benefit all citizens. India is pushing for global cooperation, ethical frames, and shared standards so that the promise of AI lifts people, not just profits. Akshay Dongre's report for DD India. Instagram chief Adam Mosseri told the California court that social media use should not be equated with clinical addiction, as he testified in a major trial examining whether Meta and YouTube intentionally made their platforms addictive for children. The case centers on allegations that 20-year-old Kali GM suffers serious harm after years of heavy social media use beginning in childhood. Plaintiffs argue tech firms design apps to act like dopamine-driven slot machines, while the companies deny intentional harm, blaming personal circumstances. The trial, seen as a potential legal milestone, precedes testimony from Mark Zuckerberg and YouTube CEO Neil Mohan. Now, governments and regulators around the world are cracking down on sexually explicit content generated by Elon Musk's XAI chatbot Grok on X, launching probes, imposing bans and demanding safeguards in a growing global push to curb illegal material. The latest country in the list is Brazil. The South American nation on Wednesday told Elon Musk's social network X to stop its chatbot from creating sexually explicit images. Brazil's chief prosecutor, the National Data Protection Agency and the National Consumer Rights Bureau, in a social media post, stated that X must immediately implement appropriate measures to prevent the production using Grok of sexualized or eroticized content of children and adolescents, as well as adults who have not given their consent. The agencies gave the platform 5 days to comply with the order or risk legal action and fines. X claimed it had deleted thousands of posts and suspended hundreds of accounts after Brazil issued a warning last month. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. India take on Namibia in a Group A clash of ICC Men's T20 World Cup at Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi on Thursday. While it may look like one-sided contest on paper, T20 cricket often brings surprises. After a slightly scratchy performance with the bat in the last outing, the defending champions will be eager to deliver a more complete display. Namibia, meanwhile, face a tough challenge as they look to bounce back and test themselves against one of the tournament favourites. A report by DD India's Narayan Singh.
It's a classic David versus Goliath clash in the capital. Defending champions India are set to face Namibia in their second Group A match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi on Thursday. Delhi gears up for a contest that, at least on paper, looks one-sided, but in T20 cricket, nothing is ever guaranteed. India will be keen to put up a more complete performance after the slightly scratchy outing with the bat against the USA on a slow 1K surface. The conditions in Delhi are expected to favour stroke makers, and that should excite a powerful Indian batting unit. The likes of Surya Kumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya would look to make full use of a better batting track. Namibia, however, have plenty of work to do. They suffered a defeat to the Netherlands at this very venue, where their batters struggled to build momentum and the bowlers couldn't defend the modest score. Facing India's depth and experience will be a far tougher challenge. This game could also provide India an opportunity to test their bench strength. With Abhishek Sharma hospitalized due to illness, the team management may be forced to tweak combinations. All eyes will be also on Sanju Samson. After a series of low scores, he will be eager to grab this chance and return to form, especially with competition for places heating up. India's bowling attack, led by Jasprit Bumrah and Arshdeep Singh, supported by Hardik Pandya and Varun Chakravarti, has the variety and firepower to trouble any batting lineup. For Namibia, it will require discipline, belief and perhaps a touch of brilliance to challenge the defending champions. The stage is set in Delhi. India aim to assert their dominance, while Namibia hope to rise beyond expectations.
On paper, India are overwhelming favourites. But as cricket often reminds us, the game isn't won on reputation, but on performance. Will it be a commanding statement from the defending champions, or can Namibia script an upset in Delhi? All eyes now on Arun Jaitley Stadium. With camera person SP Dubey, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
All right, we'll go across to Arun Jaitley Stadium. DD India's Abhishek Prasad joins us from there. Hi Abhishek, match to start at 7 p.m. and the gates would open around 5. But how's the atmosphere there right now outside the stadium as India all set to take on Namibia?
Definitely, Abhishek, you can see the excitement over here. You know, the atmosphere is electrifying and fans have gathered in large numbers. It's just it's around 3 p.m. here, but you can see with me around fans are here, and also police personnel and security is highly tightened for the crucial clash. We have with me some fans. Let's talk to them and to know, sir, how excited are you for this clash?
मैं इस मैच के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा excited हूँ, लेकिन जब मैं 6 साल का था तब से मैंने क्रिकेट ज्वाइन करा है और मैं तब से बहुत खुश हूँ कि मैं क्रिकेट देखता हूँ। और आज इस मैच के लिए मैंने स्पेशली पापा को बोल के टिकट बुक करवाई थी आज के लिए, क्योंकि इंडिया और नामीबिया इज़ द माई फेवरेट मैच एवर। तो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड हूँ। मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं बुमराह को और हार्दिक पांड्या को खेलते हुए देखना चाहता हूँ यहाँ अरुण जेटली स्टेडियम में।
So big fans for Hardik Pandya and Jasprit Bumrah, sir. How excited are you, and whom you are looking forward for this?
Yeah, exactly, we are mostly very excited to see every Indian match, because India has raised the standards of T20 match and already raised, and there is no match between the Indian and another country who plays the matches about the T20s. This is all the World Cup is in. And this is not a normal match like India, Namibia, or India like USA somewhere. But it is the T20 matches, and it is the Indian team. And we are already said about the Hardik Pandya. And we wishing the very best luck to the India, and they bring the trophy definitely to the India.
They also have to play Pakistan on 15th February. How excited are you for that game?
Yeah, India, Pakistan, that is a definitely watching match. And definitely we will the match.
So Abhishek, fans are really excited for this game. This is match against Namibia, but we can't write them off because associate nations and the lower ranked teams are playing very good cricket, and India will play their match will try to test their bench strength in this game so that they can ready for big games later on.
Yes, Abhishek, cricket is a game of uncertainties, and anything can happen in this format. We have seen this in the tournament already. But let's talk about team combination, Abhishek. Abhishek Sharma may not play today. Sanju Samson likely to come. And any update on Washington Sundar? We are hearing that he has been declared fit. Is he expected to play today? And also Bumrah ready to go?
Yeah, definitely. Abhishek Sharma had a stomach bug. He was hospitalized, but he was discharged, but he remains doubtful for this game. And in that case, Sanju Samson gets an entry directly to this playing 11. He has a golden opportunity, to gain back his form after his disappointing outing in the New Zealand series. Regarding Washington Sundar, coach Rant and Descartes yesterday said that Washington has recovered, and he has also bowled in the nets, did some practice. So it remains to be seen whether the team management gives his chance. Regarding Jasprit Bumrah, he is all set and fit to go. He has practiced yesterday at the Arun Jaitley Stadium, so he might get a game against Mohammad Siraj. Because the game against Pakistan is in just a few days' time, so India will be very, cautious regarding their playing 11. They would not like to tinker much change, except one forced change, that is Abhishek Sharma. But finding the right combination is very crucial, given you get a very few errors, very less room for errors in this tournament. Because when you will go to knockout rounds, it becomes very crucial to play with your best 11, and this is the time to test your bench strength and find the right combination before the big game kicks off.
All right, Abhishek, thank you for the time being, but yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. Moving on, a spirited Nepal will face Italy in their Group C encounter at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Nepal entered the contest against Italy, a team they have never faced before. On the back of falling short by just one big blow against England, Nepal will look to bring that same brand of cricket in Mumbai again and will believe they hold the edge and momentum against their fellow associates who are playing their first big tournament. Italy, meanwhile, had a tough initiation at the T20 World Cup with a 73-run defeat against Scotland. All right, so that's all we have in this edition of GD India News Hour. You stay tuned for more news and updates.